With us, Larry. You can hear me all right, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, Larry, I'm here in New York City. I apologize for our late start. Not New York City. I'm usually in New York City. Now I'm in D.C. Okay. Here we go.
All right.
Welcome to D.C., Larry. How are you today?
Fine. Having a better day than you, I think.
I was just getting so stressed out because I was trying to get our... Anyway, it's pointless to discuss. But let's talk, Larry, about how the Trump presidency has now entered a new era. The Russiagate hoax has gone down the toilet where it belongs. And it seems perhaps President Trump can now spread his wings and get down to the business of being the president.
Well, can I tell you what I think?
It's exactly what everybody wants to hear.
It will go on just as though the Mueller report turned in and the summary that Barr issued. That'll all go away. The Democrats totally intend to keep it up, keep it going with the media support. These days in a week will have passed and people won't even know about it. They're going to keep it up, Jason. They're not going to stop.
Huh.
And I believe, knowing Mueller the way I do, knowing him, when the full report gets out, I will bet you that there will be enough little nuggets in there for the Democrats to get hold of and ride it all the way to 2020. You know, we're in a vicious time, Jason. We're in a time this nation's really never seen before.
It's true.
So I wish it were over. I do.
Uh-huh. So you're saying, Larry, that you're feeling that even though there was no finding of collusion, that the Democrats are just going to still go at it as if there was? Or, I mean, everybody's saying that it looks like Trump will not get impeached now. You disagree?
I disagree. No, they'll impeach him.
Wow. But for what?
You know, Jason, well, for a myriad of things, none of which have to be real.
Right.
As you know. Look how long they wrote collusion. 2 years, over 2 years, and there wasn't a real stitch to any of it.
Good point.
And, you know, you've got Schiff in a position to where he can investigate until the cows come home.
Yeah. What about Devin Nunes' cow?
Well, Nunes, you know, he's the minority leader of the committee. He's not the chair of the committee.
Oh, I was just making a joke because Devin Nunes is suing Twitter and a Twitter account called Devin Nunes' cat. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I think everybody does want to hear what it is that you really feel they're going to continue to do. And as you lay it out, I got to say, I don't necessarily disagree. It's just so disappointing if that's what they're going to do.
Well, it is. I mean, like I said, Jason, and to everybody, I wish it were over. But you have to understand the seriousness of the challenge that the progressives have. It's now or never for them. They cannot lay down now. They've got to go all the way. They're not going to let up on Trump. Trump is the key to stopping what they're planning. He's the absolute key. If they get control of both houses, the House and the Senate, as long as Trump's president, he can veto the madness that they're trying to pass. And they know it. They have got to get rid of Trump. See, that's how I knew Jason, before he ever even took office, that's how I knew the day after he was elected. And of course, there's no way I could have known that they were going to go after him for impeachment. But the truth is, he was the block. He's the thing that blocks them from their goal of their commitment to transform our way of life. And as long as he's there, they can't do it, and they know it.
Right. All right. Well, but don't they?
And surely, Jason, we've all seen enough now, I think, where I can safely assure the audience and you that having something real, it don't mean nothing. What the Democrats are doing, what and the media is doing, they are trying people, they are trying cases in the court of public opinion, which they control.
Right.
They control the media. What was it? 92% for the past 2 years of the stories about Trump have been bad. 92%.
I know. I don't know. It was seeming for a minute, Larry, like they were kind of, you know, I don't know. We saw CNN saying that, you know, no collusion and all this. It seemed for a second like they were maybe admitting it, that it was fake news.
Well, just hold on. That too will change. That will change. I wasted about 5 minutes this morning watching Morning Joe and that Mika on purpose. I just wanted to see what they were doing, and they had already shipped it in. They'd already shipped it.
What do you mean?
That Trump was a liar. Well, their claim to fame is, look, if there's nothing to it, why have all of these people around Trump, why are they going to jail, been indicted for lying? Why would they lie if they weren't in connection with the Russians? I mean, just like, I promise you, Jason, it was just like the past few days hadn't even happened.
Huh. But Larry, don't you think that these people are you know, when they say they're lying, it seems to be part of the game, that whether it's the news or Robert Mueller or Adam Schiff, they want to sort of take the listener as far away from the original facts as possible. So if they say, hey, this person lied, let's talk about Dr. Corsi for a minute, because they were threatening him. They were saying that you know, they're going to hit him with 18 USC 1001, which is lying to a federal agent or whatever. They're just, you know, tripping him up. He's spoken about, and in his book, he talks about how they question him for 40 hours and try to catch him in a lie that might not be related to anything to do with Russia. And then they have that talking point for the news. Why did this guy lie? Why did Michael Cohen lie? Didn't lie about working with Russia.
See, that's the problem. If you look at the people that were caught lying, it was about other stuff. The lying that they told was about they messed up on the date that they met with somebody and et cetera, et cetera. It wasn't lying about this Russian collusion.
Right.
But if you listen to the media and you're the average person in America who does not pay all that much of attention to every detail, when they say, well, you know, they were caught lying about Russia, well, they think, well, I guess there's something because they did get indicted or they are going to prison, going to jail.
Right. So Manafort and Manafort and Cohen really are the two people that everybody's thinking about.
Right. And then now you've got Lindsey Graham, to his credit, who fully intends to take his committee in the Senate and find out the origin of all of this. I mean, get to what started it all. Well, you know, if he gets down and starts investigating the origin and how it all came to pass, a lot of people are going to be in trouble, right? So they're going to have to, they'll instigate, they're going to have to come out with their own case to outdo what Graham's doing. That's what I'm saying. They're going to have to outsmut Graham.
So it's more political poker, really, right, Larry? It's got nothing to do with the law. It's got nothing to do with what actually happened. It's got to do with how can they bluff with the cards that they're holding.
Right. That's just about it, exactly. Nothing more. You know, Jason, this is the most serious time in our country's history. And the people, the average, everyday, run-of-the-mill person in America is blocked off. They're absolutely cut off from the truth, other than programs like yours. To some degree, Fox. But, you know, when Fox gets rid of Judge Janine
right.
and hires Donna Brazile,
crazy.
You kind of got to wonder. I mean, you know, Murdoch's not near the conservative that he'd have everybody believe.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how Sean Hannity can sit there next to Donna Brazile, and I mean, she should be in jail for, you know, she was interfering with the election and she was colluding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they treat her like she's the gospel now.
It's really the worst.
So think about it. Think about what the American people are able to know. If they knew the truth, if everyone in America knew what you have been telling people, what I've been telling people, if they just knew the truth, if everyone in America knew the truth, I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't. I still have this feeling that the American people fundamentally are moral and sound. But they're blocked from getting the truth.
Yeah.
Blocked at every single turn. Look what happened today. If you don't believe we have a two-tier, you know, criminal system, look with that, what's his name?
Jesse Smollett. I was going to ask you about that. They just basically totally dismissed the charges. How could they do that?
They just did it. They just did it. And even the most conservative people are having to admit that, you know, guess what? Somehow somebody got paid off.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seems like Kamala Harris or, you know, somebody who this guy, we've seen Jesse Smollett photographed with Obama and all these different people. So it would seem Obama's got Chicago pretty hooked up. He's building that $500 million monstrosity there. And it seems like somebody just made a call to somebody and said, let this guy go, even though he broke the law.
Yep, you know, just good old Chicago politics, buddy. That's all it is, just Chicago politics. But that kind of politics has control of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., Jason, is nothing but a criminal syndicate. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Nearly from top to bottom. You know, I hear everybody being, excuse me, I'm trying to clear my throat. I hear everybody trying to be nice or good, honest about the rank and file members of the FBI. I agree. The majority of the FBI people are good people trying to do good work. But they're blocked from doing good work. When you control the top, there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Larry, you know, mother of three is watching us on YouTube, and she wants me to ask you if traitors would start being arrested, do you think the whole narrative would change?
Well, I will say this. There are two criminal referrals that are coming. And they're both low-level players. One is a low-level player in the Clinton Foundation. The other is a low-level player in the Uranium One.
Huh.
They're going to test the system. Likely as not, they'll get their way through court like someone, or whatever his name is. Likely as not, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Smollett. And, but we're going to start seeing it. It's not a problem, Jason, of finding treasonous characters. It's not a problem building a case against the treasonous characters. The problem is how they got it sewn up in the court system, where right now you can't do anything but fall into a rigged court in the federal court.
Yeah. It's a big concern, Larry. So, well, this brings me to my next question for you, because it does seem like odd timing that Devin Nunes has brought this lawsuit against Twitter and Devin Nunes' cow and a sort of, I guess she calls herself right of center, but she seems pretty aligned with the left. I'm talking about a journalist named Liz Mayer, who is named in the lawsuit, who basically Nunes is suing her in part for retweeting a headline from the Fresno Bee that he didn't like. So it's an interesting suit, Larry. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at it, but basically if Devin Nunes succeeds, it's an assault against the First Amendment. He's suing a journalist for criticizing him on Twitter, and he's suing Twitter, which is quite obviously protected by the CDA, is it 230, Section 230. I do believe our mutual good friend Bill Clinton signed that into law in 1996, Communications Decency.
Right.
The thing I'm wondering, Larry, and I'm curious to hear your insight, why do you think Devin Nunes would bring a lawsuit that's virtually guaranteed to fail rather than proposing new legislation that would have modernized the CDA 230?
I can't say for sure. I have not talked to him about it. He has not told me the intricacies of what he's trying to do.
Do you communicate
but
with Nunes?
I think what he's periodically, but what I think he's trying to do is set a precedent to where hopefully in the 2020 campaign, starting in about 6 to 8 months, he's hoping to have put enough pressure on Twitter that Facebook, Twitter, Google, all of them will slack up on the censorship that they're doing. I don't think he has much belief that the suit's going to actually win, but he's trying to put the fear into them to get them to back off some of the stuff they're planning to do in this election season.
But Larry,
this election season is going to be impossible.
Don't you think it's a danger that they're just going to immediately knock this lawsuit out by saying we're protected by CDA 230, and that's going to embolden them to censor even more, or just carry on with what they're doing? Had he introduced legislation that would, absolve them, or rather dissolve this protection from CDA 230, that would seem to put more pressure on them. There's a wrinkle to the case that you may not be aware of, Larry. He's using the same lawyer that's suing me. Robert David Steele's lawyer, Stephen S. Biss, who's been sanctioned and who lost his legal license for a year. The Virginia State Bar sanctioned him for his role in a $21 million fraud, and then while his legal license was suspended, he continued practicing law and got a second suspension. Why would Devin Nunes select such a lawyer rather than using some fancy Washington, D.C. law firm? I mean, he's a sitting congressman.
Well, we talked about this the last time. What is the odds of some out-of-step attorney like that guy being brought in on a case like this? I mean, if Nunes was serious with the case, he would have gotten the most brilliant legal minds with the biggest reputation, the biggest powerhouse of legal team, the legal team that you could have.
Right.
But what did he do? He gets an outsider like that guy.
Right. Biss.
And I don't have any faith in that lawyer.
Well, neither do I. I think he's trying to sabotage Devin Nunes. Or perhaps Devin Nunes...
Good chance of it.
Good chance, you think?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good chance.
Well,
I can't... I'm going to find out about that. I'm glad you brought that up again, because I want to find out why that attorney. Why him?
Yes,
now,
I want to find that out.
To be honest, it may be, Jason, that the big-time lawyers, the big firms, see what you and I see, which is the case is going to go nowhere, most probably, and they don't want to be involved with a dud case. They don't want to be involved in a case that's basically flawed.
Well,
so he may have had to go down a run or two. But of all people, that guy.
Yeah. I think another problem Devin Nunes faces is that Twitter could very well use Virginia's anti-slap statute and say that this is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. Certainly Liz Mayer could use that defense. And in that case, Devin Nunes would be forced to pay the legal fees. And if this goes on for 2 years, like Mr. Biss's case against me has, it could wind up costing Devin Nunes quite a lot of money. It makes no sense.
Well, if it gets thrown out with Rule 11, he's got to pay the legal fees.
Right.
I mean, it can cost him a lot of money. Look, let me ask you this, Jason.
Yeah.
Let's say starting when the campaign starts to get rolling, right, when everybody's really serious and running their campaigns.
Yeah.
Let's say Twitter, Facebook, Google, whatever other things are. Let's say they just shut down. You being on any Twitters that talk bad about the Democrats or whatever, let's just say they go into complete, full-blown censorship.
Yeah.
Now, what can be done about that?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. You see, what could be done about that should have been started 2 years ago through the legislation.
Yeah.
But right
when
now,
the Republicans controlled the House, that would have been the time to do it, right?
That's right. Think about it. There's nothing. If they just come full face out in front of God and everybody and just say, okay, we don't care, we're blocking any conservative views.
Yeah.
And I mean, they seriously put the quash on anybody. There's nothing anybody can do, Jason. You can jump up and down and scream. Politicians can worm their way around. But there's nothing, in fact, anybody can do.
You know, Devin Nunes
You're not
the
going to
other
get a
day...
judge.
Not even a judge. The other day, Devin Nunes on Fox News demanded that Twitter reveal their algorithms so that people could see, you know, how they operate Twitter. I don't think that's really reasonable. I mean, I think it is reasonable to remove the undue protection of CDA 230 and tell Twitter if they're going to curate content, they're more like a newspaper than an internet service provider, and they will be responsible for the content. So if someone publishes my parents' phone number and tells people to call them up, you know, that would be stalking or harassment, and they'd have to take that tape down, which they refuse to do. But I don't think we should force private companies to have to reveal their recipes and their software code. This is how Twitter makes their product, and Nunes is demanding. Everybody's got this attitude that everything should be unsealed, Larry, including elements of the grand jury testimony from Robert Mueller's report. I don't think we can just unseal that. There are innocent Americans who are in there who are protected by their right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and if the prosecutor doesn't have sufficient evidence to prosecute, we don't have a right to see that document.
Well, according to the letter of the law, as I had told before, under the letter of the law, if somebody's investigated, it's to be totally secret.
Right.
And if it's found that there's evidence to prosecute, then you prosecute them, indict them, the name comes out, etc.
Right.
But if the investigation duds out and they're not able to build a case, then it goes away without harming the person that was being investigated.
Yeah.
See, it doesn't work like that now.
Yeah, Adam Schiff just wants the document out.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you Republican or Democrat are right. The letter of the law is simple. Anything that is grand jury material, sources and uses, executive privilege, by the letter of the law, Jason, that stuff is not to be let out.
Right.
And there shouldn't be any amount of pressure, no amount of pressure from Schiff, from all of Congress, from the president himself, that should make that be violated.
About that, Larry.
If it does,
driving by.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Larry. It was a little mistake. Please continue.
Well, if they violated, then they violated the law, and it means nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, they're also violating people's constitutional rights. I'm sure Dr. Corsi's personal communications are within that report.
Of course.
All kinds of stuff that they just suddenly want released. I think Dr. Corsi didn't do anything wrong. He didn't communicate with Julian Assange, and if he had, he's a journalist. He's allowed to call Julian Assange. They came up with this lie, and then they just tied everything to the lie. And they make the lie the foregone conclusion that Russia hacked. We still haven't seen evidence that Russia hacked. It's just the 17 intelligence agencies said they did.
Yep. Well, see, this is the problem we're in right now. That's why I say, don't worry, they're not going to back off Trump. They're not. They're going to keep coming. Why not? They've got the media, Jason. No matter what you and I scream to the top of our voices, people aren't going to hear it.
Yeah.
90% of the people are not going to hear it.
Well, it seems like they've taken over Fox now, Larry. That used to be a little bit of a counterpoint, but now they've taken it.
Well, yes, look at Fox. Other than their nighttime lineup with Tucker and Hannity and Laura, I mean, there's a couple other programs that are conservative. But you'll notice that those programs are editorial-type programs.
Larry,
Larry,
Mary Ellen is concerned that I'm forcing you to push yourself right now because of the noise. Is that correct?
Well, it is kind of loud, yes. I'm shouting, and that's not good. I will calm down.
You don't need to shout. Everybody can hear you fine.
All right, as long as you can hear me.
Unfortunately, I had to check out of the hotel, so it's like it was louder inside the hotel than it is out here. I mean, what we could do, Larry, is we could make today's episode a little bit shorter, but I do want to remind everybody that they should be visiting nicholslive.com and going and getting your PayPal address, which is nicholslive@aol.com, and people can financially support Larry by going there. Maybe what we'll do, Larry, is let's just, if there's anything you want to say, we can wrap up a little bit early today, because I definitely don't want to stress you.
Well, as a matter of fact, there is one thing about the funding.
Yeah.
There is stuff, Jason, that we need to be doing, that I need to be doing to spread the word about never socialism.
Yeah.
There's materials we need to get. I have to raise between $2,000 and $3,000 to get it done. So, folks, if you can help us, the only way Trump's going to win, the only way Trump is going to win the presidency in 2020 is if the 60%, Jason, of his base, of his base, 40% will vote for him no matter what. They'll get up, they'll vote if it's snowing, hailing, or raining.
Right.
60% is the problem. They're the people that if they think he can't win, if they buy into the polling, if they buy into all the junk that'll be done, they'll stay home and not vote. We have to make his base vote. And the way to do it is to make sure the people in this country know that whoever the Democrats run for president, you're voting for socialism.
Yeah.
So far, there's not a candidate that has announced that is not pushing a socialist agenda. Not one.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, Larry, I was walking by the Capitol earlier today, and there was a little, I guess, press conference set up out there. They had a couple of senators speaking, and it was all about the Green New Deal. And it just so happens that as I was walking by, Kristen Gillibrand, the Democrat senator from New York, was speaking, and I had an opportunity to ask a few questions of Senator Gillibrand. It was happening so quickly I didn't have time to set up a live stream, but I'll put that out later. It seems like mainstream Democrats are fully on board with the Green New Deal. It's no longer just, totally uninformed 29-year-old freshman congresspeople.
That's right. And think about it, Jason. The Green New Deal, for any person with an 8th grade education or above, can see that it is financially impossible. It's impossible. As far as our, the climate change and all of that, if we did everything, if we took everything out of our country that supposedly caused this climate change theory,
right,
we're only one little country out of the whole globe.
right.
China, India, they put out 10 times what we do, and they're not going to change. So
I
that's
think the
stupid.
bigger issue, Larry, and this is what I spoke to Senator Gillibrand about, is that the Green New Deal is just almost exclusively focused on carbon dioxide. And it's specifically tied to having a tax on carbon dioxide so that they can just charge people more tax for producing a gas that each of us produces when we exhale and that trees need. I asked Senator Gillibrand, you know, based on John Brennan telling the Council on Foreign Relations that he'd become interested in aerosolized aluminum injection into the ionosphere, I asked the senator why the Green New Deal is solely focused on carbon dioxide and taxing it and doesn't consider aerosol aluminum or what effects that might have on the environment or human health. And she did not have a good answer. She basically just told me to F.O.
Well, I rest my case.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the Green New Deal can't be anything but laughed at. But you're seeing senior House members, senators, you're seeing senior politicians climbing on board.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling the other day on one of my programs, somebody sent word in that they're seeing this wave of blue coming across the country. Well, what that is, Jason, is that's the millennial generation coming into play.
Yeah.
You know, every day they're getting more and more plentiful in society. Our generation, my generation, every day is dying off.
Right.
So this is truly our last stand. This is the last chance we have
Yeah.
to stop this madness. And I'll tell you this,
Yeah.
20 years ago, Jason,
Yep.
the stuff the candidates on the Democratic side are proposing and saying about this country,
Yeah.
20 years ago they would be called traitors, treasonous.
Yeah.
Those have been treasonous things they're saying.
I know.
But today it's mainline.
It's unbelievable. And you know, we haven't heard anything more about this Sidecat Chakrabarty who funneled $885,000 from a PAC that Ocasio-Cortez was on the board for, and that he funneled to an LLC that he controlled. We haven't heard anything about that. But of course, if Jesse Smollett...
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. But if Jesse Smollett can just, you know, sort of shake off 16 counts of, you know, that certainly had to include false statements to the police and filing a false police report, things that you would think they would just take him to court for. And at very least, I mean, they should have had a trial, give him, you know, 6 months in jail and suspend the sentence or put him on probation or something. Then at least we would have had a trial. This is just dropped. That's crazy.
It dropped, and they expunged it.
Wow.
Incredible. They expunged it. It never happened.
Someone
And
in our
then to
comments
see him stand up in front of the see him stand up in front of the cameras when he came out of the courthouse today and say, you know, I never lied about anything. You know, my family, I wouldn't dishonor my family. He lied about it all.
That's really surprising. You know, someone in our comments was saying that the Chicago PD want his lawyer to be federally investigated. I mean, lawfare is going mainstream, it seems, Larry. We've got all these shady lawyers doing all kinds of things, you know, interfacing with people in Congress and working with criminals to... It's unbelievable.
Yep. And, you know, Chicago is just the latest example of the double standard. You know, if you know people in the jet set, if you know people in the progressive group, things just can get handled. It's just like it was with me when I was with Bill here in Arkansas. And we got in dilemmas that nobody could get out of, right? I mean, we were caught. Nothing anybody could do. We were caught.
Right.
We'd make it just go away. Stevens would just make it go away.
Give us an example of
No
one of those.
explanation. Oh, God. Well, the tainted blood.
Oh, yes.
Tainted blood to Canada.
Right.
I mean, guys, that was really a big, big deal. And we were caught red-handed. Fortunately, I had left by the time they got caught, but they were caught red-handed, and it just disappeared. Just disappeared.
Larry, when did they know that that blood was tainted? They knew from the beginning and just sent it over anyway?
Yeah, they knew.
Wow.
Sure they did.
And
Well,
so, you know, people might
let me
listen
back
to
it up.
this.
They didn't send contaminated blood on purpose. They just knew that there were all manner of diseases within the prison system with the guys giving blood.
Right.
And they didn't scrutinize it because they didn't care. They just, you know, put it in a bag and ship it. Don't worry about it.
I guess a lot of people will hear this and have some anger towards you for your participation in that. But the counterpoint to that point is Bill Clinton, certainly, nothing has happened to him.
Nothing's happening. You know, look, let me tell you what happened to that. I came out telling the truth. My life's been destroyed.
Right.
He gets to be president.
Right.
Figure that one out.
Well, and he's making
You know, one
billions
thing people
from
don't
the
think of-
foundation.
Right. One thing people aren't thinking about, Jason, is Corsi, all of the guys that have been indicted or whatever from the Mueller case.
Subpoenaed.
Look at how many lives have been literally destroyed. Look at Flynn, all of them. They lost everything they had defending themselves.
Yeah.
And there's no place for them to go to get it back.
It's true.
You can't get that back.
Well, the time, and you know, he's got a new grandchild. His son has had a kid during the course of all this. There's a lot of stress on the family.
And see, the government, they don't have to use their money to prosecute you. It's not their money.
They're using our money.
It's our money.
Yeah.
It's an awesome thing when the United States of America decides to come after you. It's awesome, the power that can be invoked.
Right.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah. Well,
So
some people.
what I'm afraid is going to happen, with Trump coming up for an election, it's going to start getting harder out here for him to get people to work with him, to be on his staff.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
I would.
Now, you would. I would too. But somebody that's got their future paid for, everything's taken care of, they don't need to rock the boat.
Yeah.
With that, why would they get involved with the risk of losing it all?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have a wife, I don't have any children, so it's a different kind of a thing. But you're right, there's a lot of people who aren't going to. I mean, even though Trump is still standing and has been victorious in the whole Russiagate thing, it's still been tremendously damaging. He hasn't been able to, move forward on the things that we all elected him to do.
Right. I mean, my Lord, think about what he has had to endure during this 2 years. Just think about it.
Yeah.
At a personal level, I mean, at a human level, think about what he's had to go through. Not to mention, where is our government right now?
Yeah.
Where is our Congress? Are they working on infrastructure?
No,
Are they working on this illegal immigration problem that's going to kill us?
No.
No.
No, they're out on the lawn in front of the Capitol talking about the Green New Deal.
Mm-hmm. That, and they're out to get Trump.
Yeah.
Every minute of every day. Whatever state is, elected shift, I'd ask for my money back. Because every day, every minute of every day for Adam Schiff, he spends going after Trump. He's not going after things to help the communities to which he's supposed to serve.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have gone to Adam Schiff's office today and asked them why they're not investigating Ed Buck and all the dead male prostitutes that keep showing up at his house. I mean, you would think normally, Larry, if one dead person is at your house from a crystal meth overdose, there should be a ton of evidence all over that allows them to open an investigation. All of that is illegal. Crystal meth, killing people, nothing there is legal. That should be an investigation. But it's not.
But you'll notice there isn't one.
Yes, there's no investigation.
And think about this. There's nobody challenging the fact that there's not an investigation, if you think about it, other than you just did.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I mean, it's a very serious situation.
It is. I mean, we've got all these other, you know, like, I mean, again, I go back to Devin Nunes, you know. What he's doing is the least effective approach to trying to solve this issue with Twitter. I mean, he should have gotten together with Hawley and the president and, you know, come up with some legislation. Even if the Democrats won't pass it, at least then he can go on Fox News and say, hey, look, we've proposed this modernized legislation. The DCA 230 was written at a time when people were using dial-up phone modems and calling text-only bulletin boards. Now we're talking about interactive video social media networks like YouTube and Twitter and all kinds of advanced things that people are using every day as part of their livelihoods that millions of people are on. And if he had been on Fox News talking about how Democrats don't want people to have freedom of speech and don't want people to be able to utilize social media, that to me would be a much better position for Devin Nunes to be in than to be in bed with a lawyer who should be disbarred and fighting a lawsuit that's virtually guaranteed to lose.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Well,
but here again, I do not know his intentions, so I can't.
Right.
You know, we don't know what he's up to totally. It don't look good.
Right.
But there may be something we don't know.
That's very possible.
I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. But
Larry, I think what we should do is give you an opportunity to rest your voice, and then next Tuesday I'll be back in New York and we can be in a quieter environment. People should go to nicholslive.com and they can help Larry put together this program that he's talking about. Use Larry's PayPal address, which is nicholslive@aol.com, to support Larry. And Larry, before we wrap up just a little bit early today, anything you want to close with?
Well, you know, Jason, I don't want it to sound like it's a canned deal, because it's not. You know, folks, I'm telling you, I'm begging you. Jason and what he's trying to do with his program, what he's doing with his network, whatever you call it, Jason.
Yeah.
We've got to have it. It's folks, you've got to see that things are getting out of control. And if Jason had to go, or if he went to the advertiser supported, pretty soon they would be putting the chokehold on him on what he can and can't say.
Yeah.
Support Jason. Keep this thing up, because every day now there's information that's going to come out through this program that you're not going to hear any other way. No other way are you going to hear it. So please, Jason, tell them how to help you, and if they can only do one, I say give it to Jason's program. That's where it needs to be.
I appreciate you saying
How do they do it?
Larry. Well, people can go to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and they can become monthly sponsors. You know, Larry, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a very special program on More Pain. You were a guest on More Pain just a few weeks ago with Michael Moore of True Pundit. Tonight, I'm going to be meeting up with Michael and Larry Klayman, here in Washington, D.C., and we're going to have Dr. Corsi calling in on Skype to talk about how he overcame the oppressive lawfare tactics of Robert Mueller and, let's face it, his illegal investigation that, as you've pointed out today, they have plans to fully move forward with. in a new way. So people should definitely log on to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Tonight's program, More Pain, and every episode of More Pain, which appears Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., can also be seen on the simulcast on patreon.com/truepundit. But that's going to be for subscribers only tonight, Larry, so it's very important that people subscribe to the show. And thank you for mentioning it. I really do appreciate it. And I appreciate your input, your insights. You and I have come to have a number of really great conversations, and I really appreciate you coming back each week.
Well, thank you. And, Jason, I'm sorry. Given my prediction of what's going to happen, I wish it wasn't going to be so. But it will be.
Yeah. Well, don't apologize,
I wish there was resolution coming, but there's not.
Well, I mean, we got to remain hopeful, but your experience, I think, informs your insights, and people appreciate hearing that. So we'll be back next week, and Larry, I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'm going to go gather my things and get over and get ready for this interview tonight with Larry Klayman, Michael Moore, and Dr. Corsi. Should be really interesting, so I hope people will tune in on patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and patreon.com/truepundit. Larry, I hope you're feeling well, and I'll speak to you next week, okay?
Sounds good, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great afternoon.